to this session. You can proceed, sir. Thank you.
You can put me on spotlight. Sure. Good. Hi, good morning, everyone. And I hope today is Saturday. I think most of you will be at a deep sleep. Might be some of you would have got up just now and logged in. I hope so, right? And I good to see a lot of people are there today in the call today. I can see a lot of people. You are, as a student, you are able to sit down and start thinking about what can you do on Saturday morning, right? So I am very, very happy to see each and every one of you, right, in the call today. And my name is Lakshmi Narasimhan, and I'm basically from Chennai, but I'm basically a mechanical engineer by background, and I work in the industry for last 31 plus years. And most of my career is in manufacturing and complete operations, and so that is my basic background. And it is very good to speak to each and every one of you today, and I can see a lot of excitement in everyone joining at the last minute, like just in time, and that's what the thinking I'm putting it there. And I can see a lot of people are joining, and everybody is excited. So I would recommend you to just be alive. I know that it is 11 o'clock. Some of you are still in sleep, and some may be continuing till 12 o'clock. I know that, right? I also went through the same cycle when I'm like that, you, right? So, but I would recommend you that this session is going to be more of a basic about lean. That is what I'm going to talk about it. And it will be very useful for you. I hope so, because this will give a foundation for you. I think some of you in the call would have attended my last session, which has happened on manufacturing principles. So I'm doing a model 2 now. So I'll be keep doing a lot of modules step by step and giving you a thought about the complete manufacturing thought process, how the entire manufacturing principle works there, right? So if you are in the call, better please switch on your video. If you're not switching on your video, what will happen? It is a thinking that you're already sleeping, right? So I don't want you people to go into sleeping mode. So I'm a very energetic guy. I don't want you people to be in sleeping mode and lost the thoughts of whatever I'm just going to share about you, right? So good to see you in the morning, and I will quickly take you through the presentation, and this presentation will go for 35-40 minutes. That's what I look like. At the end, there is a question and answer session. You can you can put questions on your chat so that I will look at what are the questions coming there. I can answer for you, right? Just a moment. Give me a minute. Okay. So today I'm going to take you through the lean manufacturing, and definitely most of you thinking about what is lean, right? Because this word, I think in the last, in the webinar, I was talking about Toyota principles and Toyota, how they do it. And from Toyota, the entire shift has happened to the, the MIT, there they started talking about a new word called lean. And I think I talked about John Womack also last time about he's the person who is took lean as a big journey in terms of the modern world, right? From Toyota, right? So what is lean? So lean is, if you look at it, it is it's basically that how can I achieve more? Like me or like you, right? You are already thinking that how can you do more, right? How can I become better in your life, right? So lean is same thing. It is nothing big difference there. It is same like what you are, how can I do more, right? So can I do with what I am, and can I do with less and do more, right? These are the two principles about lean, and that is the thought behind lean, and it is a very, very powerful concept in the manufacturing industries. And if you look at it, it talks about with current resources. Let's say if I have, let's say in terms of shop floor principle, if there are 10 people are there, if all the 10 people put together, if they do 500, let's say 500 components in a day, let's say they make a 500, let's say they do 500 pens every day, right? So if that is the thing that with 10 people, can I take it to 150, right? Can I take it to 200? That is the principle of talking about with the current resources, can I do more? That is the thought process, right? The other thought is, okay, I have a lot of people in the line, but I don't think so. The customer demand is not so big. Customer is not asking more, right? So how can I reduce or how can I limit the resources or optimize the resource, right? How can I optimize the resource so that I can achieve more? These are the two principles Lean runs around, right? And basically it talks about elimination or reducing of waste, right? Lean is nothing but it's something like in your body, if you have a lot of fat, right? If you're fat or if you have a lot of fat, reducing the fat to make yourself to look sharp, ambitious, and looking very elegant and thin, right? And that is what the thinking, the lean principle works on, right? So it completely adds value to the chain, the entire supply chain, right? So that is the biggest thing about lean, right? So I'm sure that you got the basic thinking about what is lean right now on this slide, right? Okay. So what is the lean thinking, right? What it says, the system thinking? It talks about basically that, yes, lean organization means what? You have to remove all the unnecessary waste. If you look at it, there are a lot of supply chain is there, right? From your supplier to manufacturer to everything up to the after sales, right? This is the entire supply chain, right? Right from supplier to customer, right? So the lean talks about what? Lean talks about what are all the unnecessary waste in this entire value chain, right? Right from here to the end, right? So how can I look at it? How can I eliminate it? If I eliminate that waste, then it adds value to the organization, right? It adds values to the cost of the organization, add value to the quality of the organization, right? It adds value to the growth of the organization. In every direction of the organization, it gives a growth. That is the biggest advantage of somebody is really ready to practice a lean organization, right? So it is nothing but it is bringing a culture of continuous improvement, right? In any organization, right? Every organization has to work on a growth mindset, right? There is a fixed mindset, the organization doesn't grow at all, right? So organization has to grow with a culture of continuously improving, right? So they have to keep on improving. They are keep on improving. They are keep on improving, right? And winning mindset of everyone in the organization actually will help the organization to say from good to great companies. Many of you know about there are a lot of good companies are there, but how to move from good to great, and in current scenario, and everybody knows right now today, so we are going through the pandemic and there is a big impact is happening on the economical situation, but lean is actually irrelevant of any outside situations. That is the biggest advantage of lean, right? If any organization thinks, yes, we can bring the culture and it can be a continuous improvement and it can help the organization to add value, then that is the only thought lean works, right? So this talks about that in this slide. Okay, so when you talk about lean, why a lean is required, right? So basically lean actually helps in many directions, right? So there are two indexes for any organization. One is we have to give the ultimate quality to the customer. That's the first thing as an organization any organization has to look, or any manufacturing facility has to look. If quality is basically by default, right? So that is where we talk about zero defect here, right? So no customer is going to accept problem for any products, right? That is the first thought. We'll have to keep it in the mind as a lean principle, right? So if customer is not there, the manufacturers are not there, the entire supply chain is not there, right? So customer is always the king in any industry, right? So we have to think about in lean is very important is quality is the first priority, right? Can I give importance to the quality? That is the first thinking. I think in our previous model also we talked through the Pareto principles, because the entire thought process came from Pareto principle here, right? And the second important thing is basically, yes, I have to be cost competitive. That's the second part, which is very, very important, because in today's world, it is actually very, very highly competitive, because all the industries are cutthroat. If you go to a OEM, when you talk about people like Marutis or Tatas or Mahindras, right? All these people, they demand more cost reductions and cost competitiveness from the parts they buy it from suppliers or in-house, wherever they make all the parts inside their factory, right? So they demand more cost competitiveness, because outside world is, because as the inflation grows, as the economy changes, your inflation is keep raising. So with respect to the inflation, right, you have to keep making sure that you are competitive in the market, right? So that is a very, very important part for the cost competitiveness. And basically it will help one on very important thing is, it will help you to cut through your competition, right? Today you look at Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk has grown very big today, right? If you look at him, right, he started with so many things. It started with the Tesla, now he moved into his SpaceX, he's getting into internet, right? There are so many changes, he's keep doing it, right? So that is the trend moving on. So it is going to be much, much, much demanding, right? And it helps for the globalization also. If I'm very cost competitive as a manufacturer, then my product can be given to so many people across the country, right? We are talking about Make in India. Make in India is a very big principle. It is very, very important to start driving everything here and make our economy very big, right? That is the biggest principle if we are very cost competitive in what we do in terms of technology also, right? And because that is the second aspect which why lean is focusing, right? The third aspect is basically, yes, obviously when the quality is to the ultimate, to the zero defect, when cost is very good, the best important part is, can I deliver it and on time to the customers, right? That is a very, very important part, which as a lean, it has to be, it helps to deliver at the shortest period, and the flexibility, that so that if we deliver it at the right time, the customer should be easy to do it. Or lean always talks about that the day, it is something similar to ordering a dosa. When you go to a dosa hotel, there moment you order, they make the dosa, they don't keep the dosa ready, right? So the moment you order, they put the batter on the, say, the stone, right? That's where the dosa will get ready. Same way for the pizzas, right? Anything you take it, right? So this is the way the lean helps on the flexibility part. Okay. So when we talk about lean, lean always focus on 3 M's. Okay. What are the 3 M's? The 3 M's are basically, it talks about, one is called Muri. Muri is a Japanese word. Toyota driven all these principles, and later it has been taken over by the entire automobile industries to drive the principle of lean across the entire auto industries and ancillaries, right? So Muri means what? Strain. So there should not be any strain in the entire supply chain or entire manufacturing process, right? That's the first principle, right? Second M is Mura. What is Mura? There should not be any inconsistency or any imbalance in the entire value chain, right? That is the second thinking it talks about. What is the third thinking? Third thinking, it talks about Muda. Muda is what? Waste, right? So there should not be any waste. So these are the three very important principles lean follows. Lean always follows strain. There should not be any strain. There should not be any imbalance or inconsistency. There should not be any waste, right? Okay, let's come to Muri. What is strain, right? If you have to understand about what is strain, so actually Muri, any strain in any process, it actually had a lot of cost in the entire value chain, right? So let's say if we have a machine, that machine is, let's say when you talk about in mechanical engineering, let's say if the part has to be made, let's say this is the part, this part has got an accuracy of, you need an accuracy. If you look at the width of the part, let's say it has to be done in plus minus 0.5, but the machine is capable of doing only in plus minus 1 mm, then we are straining the machine. That is the first principle it talks about, right? So we are straining the machine, we are trying to get a say from the low precision machine to high accuracy, right? Or it can be the other way, right? So you can have a very low precision equipment and you are looking the highest results through that, right? So that is the first thing. So you are straining the machine, right? You are trying to strain the machine. It's something like if if I have been put inside a cage, right, for longer time, I can't stay inside the cage, right? Because I'm getting stressed inside, I'm getting strained inside, right? I have to be free. That's the first thought process it talks about on the strain, right? So the other thought is about, it talks about running the machines beyond its design capacities. Let's say if the machine is capable of delivering only 1,000 per day, and we are trying to load the machine and start looking at, right, more than that. Instead of let's say it runs at 100 per hour, you are trying to put 150 into the machine and start loading it, right? So what is happening is, because the machines have been designed for certain capacities, right? If you are going beyond the capacities, it will get overloaded. It is something like if I am capable of holding on my shoulders, let's say 25 kgs, if somebody puts 100 kg weight on me, I can't bear the weight, right? That is the thinking of strain, right? So you can't strain the process, you can't strain the machines designs capacity, right? And let's say the third thought what it talks about is, let's say if your manufacturing line is running with let's say 10 people, right, and they are doing at least 500 numbers in a day, right? So what normally happens when the demand goes up, every organization always look at how can I take the people too much stressed and getting more work out from them, right? So they'll start thinking about, so because the person has to, let's say he has to lift something heavy in his process of, let's say 5 kgs continuously in the process, that person will get overburdened, right? That person will get trained more, right? He can't, let's say you are telling it to, instead of 500 every day you lift 750 numbers, right? It is not possible because you are overtraining. So lean doesn't accept those principles there, right? And the fourth one we talks about, and let's say if something has to be done by a machine and you're thinking that it can be done by a man, right? That is also strain, right? That is what the principle it talks about, right? And strain due to even poor design, right? Because as we talked in the first point, we talked about second point, we talked about the design capacities, right? Same principle applies here, right? Am I straining the things more, right? Because even a human being or the machine, you cannot overload there, right? So the increased workload due to non-availability of people to cope it up. That's what happens in most of the organization. Organization always think that chalo, 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 do more, right? So that is the thinking they put it there, right? Actually, that doesn't work in the way it adds value to the organization. What will happen if I overload or if I strain the person more? The person is obviously can make a mistake, right? In the mistake in the value chain, it's a big mistake for the entire organization in terms of every aspect. What we talked on the first three, say the important things, the cost, quality, and delivery, right? So that is the strain we are talking about it, right? So now we come to Mura, unevenness, right? What is unevenness? Unevenness is what, see, if there is a machine, if you are producing it and the machine is not capable of giving consistency, let's say we already talked about that also, right? We talked about the same principle. Let's say if you do this part and it requires a higher accuracy, but it is not capable of doing it, right? What happened? The machine is start giving variations. Instead of plus minus 0.5, the variation can go up to plus minus 1 mm, right? So that variation is not the acceptable as a lean principle. So the variation has to be minimized. The variation has to be controlled, right? That's what it talks about on the unevenness or imbalance, right? So let's say if you have multiple machines on the line, if you look at it, there are so many machines on the line, 5-6 machines on the line, and each machines, if you look at it, and every machine has got different capacity. One produces at 500 per day, other produces at 1500 per day, and third one is producing at 2500 per day, right? So everything has got different capacity. So it is an imbalance as per the lean principle. What will happen? One machine can produce more and stock more, or it will be overstocked because The process is continuous, but the machine capacities are, some machines are high, some machines are low. So lean always talks about there is no imbalance in any process is acceptable, right? And if obviously to the people also, right? Let's say in a shop floor, there are 10 stations, working stations are there. Maybe 3-4 stations are always engaged, but rest of the stations are idle, right? So that is the waste by lean principle, right? So person has to be evenly distributed work and everybody has to get loaded in the entire process, right? That is the principle lean talks about, right? And mixing up of experienced and inexperienced workers wrongly, right? What happens in a line, in a manufacturing line, there are 10 stations are there, maybe 2-3 stations, there are people who are just joined, they are not trained, right? So what will happen? The rhythm on the line doesn't happen because that person, he has to pick it up. It is not the problem of that person. It is a problem of an organization. An organization has to think that, okay, the person who is going to get into the actual mainstream on the main line, the person has to definitely get trained. Then only he can cope up with the line speed, right? So that is the principle lean talks about, right? And so basically, training and instructions are very important, right? So that is very, very, it talks about it. And other last point which I want to talk about is basically about say using equipment unreasonably, right? So or wastefully, because the machine will be keep on running, right? But there is nobody there, right? It was keep running. So that is also an unevenness in lean principle, right? So all these unevenness has to be eliminated. That is what lean talks about. So the third part, as we've seen in the third one, it talks about Muda, right? So what is the Muda? Muda is basically the waste, right? It appears in 7 ways. This is called 7 types of waste in any industry, right? The first is talks about overproduction, right? So nobody is required overproduction. If there is no customer demand, why we have to produce and keep it, right? That is the principle lean talks about, right? If customer demand is 100 per day, you have to run the line as per 100 or maybe 120 numbers or 130 numbers, keeping some safety stock. But I can't run the line if it is required only 100 per day. I can't run the line at 500 per day, right? That is a waste for any organization. It doesn't add value to the organization, right? When you talk about the stock, the inventory part, right? So what will happen? Inventory is also a waste, right? I can't hold too much of stocks at any stage, right? Basically at the raw material stage or in the WIP stage, work in progress stage, or at the finished goods stage, right? So I can't keep anywhere too much stock in the entire value chain because everything is a waste for the organization, right? That is the second waste it talks about, right? And the third waste is talking about the conveyance, transportation. Let's say if I'm making an assembly at one point and I need a part, which the part has to come all the way from, let's say, 100 kilometers from, let's say I'm in Bangalore, 100 kilometers from Bangalore, then it is a waste. So why should I take the part from there to here? Can I identify the part somewhere closer to my location, or can I do the part in-house? These are the two choices you always look at it with respect to the transportation part, or in the entire say the assembly line. I can't keep so much of stock at the top also, at the holding at the top, at the conveyor or overhead conveyors. So that is also a waste. So Muda talks, it is a waste in terms of transportation. Anything you do transportation, it is a waste, right? If it is closer, it is always good. It adds values to the entire chain, right? Then it talks about waiting, anything waiting. Let's say if one station is running, the other previous station is producing, and you keep building it. And then third station, if you look at it, and this guy is, after the second station is producing it, the third station person is waiting because the second station person is not able to complete and give it. So anything in waiting is also a waste, or anything in waiting on conveyors or overhead conveyors or anything sitting on the WIP is a waste more, right? So that is what lean talks about it, right? And anything by operation itself is a waste. That's what it talks about, right? If I have more operations in the line, Muda is, it's a waste. I should minimize the operations. That is the principle Muda works, right? Muda talks about, right? Basically, right? So Muda, the other waste it talks about is the movement of people. There should not be too many movements of people. The person cannot take the material from one point, go to a different material which is almost 300 meters or 200 meters away from him. It's a waste, or 100 meters away from him. It should be as close as possible. That is the principle of the lean, which talks about that is also a waste, right? And production of inferior goods, right? Basically, when I do a product on the line, the product is basically what I told you is the product is should be to the quality required by the customer. That is important. If I do a low quality product, that is also waste, right? Look at this on the bottom on the cartoon. If the Muda become bigger and bigger, the dinosaur will lead the profits of the organization. That's what it talks about, right? So this is very, very important principle which you have to understand, right? So I hope that I think you got a basic idea about what are the waste, 3 types of waste, and you got an idea about how the definitions are, the examples of waste, right? So that is what it works, right? And most of the thing, what happens then in any organization getting into lean, it is always a change management in any organization or the people inside the organization. They will always have a fear. What will happen when you talk about lean? Similar to the recession happening now, right? So what is happening? Companies are looking for layoffs. Companies are looking for pay cut, right? Because always the organization look at how can they add value to the organization. That's what the professional way organization look at it, right? Same principle when you talk about lean. When some company is ready to adopt a lean, these are the questions will get into the minds of the entire organization, right from the top management, right? Because when an organization want to drive a lean principle, the top management should be very clear. Yes, it is going to help the organization, and the very important people on the organization to accept lean or the people on the floor, right? They are the very, very important people, and it requires a lot of change management. It requires lot of thought process and lot of understanding on any shop floor, because they should not be panicked that it is going to impact them. So in terms of cost cutting, right? So basically it is a cost cutting. That's what company works on lean. So these are the misconceptions of lean always, right? And some people always think that, so I will not be there from tomorrow because there is a lean is happening. So there can be a cut in my manpower. It is partially true, but it is not completely true. It is basically to increase the efficiency of the shop floor. That's what lean talks about. And if you look at it, it's applicable in any industry. It is not only manufacturing. If you go to any pizza shop, if you go to any pan center shop, you can see the guys works on lean, right? If you go to pizza shop, he doesn't have any non-malediction. That is where, if you look at it in pizza shop or a dosa shop, they are able to deliver you in time with the quality that is intended for that product, right? So it is applicable to any industry. So lean is not only for automotive. Lean is not only for ancillary, right? That is what it talks, right? So the other one, is basically, so people always think in any company that, okay, now is it a recession time and everybody is idle, why don't you drive lean? That's a wrong principle. So lean doesn't think in that direction. Lean is basically, people take it as a misconception, saying that when the orders are not there, they will cut the people. So these are the basic thinking gets into any organization, because if these things are not clarified to the people on the organizations, the organization cannot drive a lean principle, right? Because the lean implementation is not possible. And especially lean is very, very applicable when the customer demand is very high, right? Lean plays a bigger role when the customer demand is very high, and it is very, very important when there is a season is not there, when the requirement is come down. That's where lean is very, very important for any organization, right? Because it is something, right? Let's say when you are getting more money in your family, right? You will spend a lot of things. But when you see that, okay, when recession came, I have to be more conservative, right? You start thinking about it, right? How can I cut down all the unnecessary expenses for me, right? That is where the lean principle works there, right? Can I think lean at my home? Can I think lean at the way I do? Can you think lean at every place what I do, right? That is the way the lean principle works, right? So everybody will be asking about thinking, sir, will the lean works during recession. That's what I told you. Lean is never related to anything outside environment. It is something related to where you work and what you do, anything, right? Can I improve the thing? Can I improve the thing, right? That is what the principle it talks about in lean, right? It doesn't have any impact on the external factors. It always talks about the inside, what you do there with respect to the process, with respect to the principles on the shop floor, with respect to anything on the shop floor. That is what lean talks about. Okay, so some people will have a question, oh, the lean is started by Toyota and then followed by all the auto industries and ancillaries, so will it be applicable? Why not? Lean can be done anywhere, right? That's the power of lean, right? So you can do anywhere in any industry, right? That's the power of lean. And if somebody asks, is it a time bound? I can say it is not that, because it's a continuous improvement. You have seen in the first slide, right? Lean is always, there is always a next level in anything. There is always a next level in anything, right? So it is basically a journey. It is a process. It is not a destination, right? So that is what I will tell about that principle part. Okay. So till now you have seen about what is lean and understanding of the lean and the 3 M's. You have looked at it, and you looked at what are the frequently asked questions, because I will say that is very, very important for a lean journey, because the organizations has to be prepared for the lean implementation. Because if the organization is not ready to prepare for the lean implementation, the organization will fail on lean manufacturing. It is not possible, right? It requires each and every person has to join hands, and they should tell, yes, we are going to do it. We are going to make it happen, because we are going to add value to the company. We are going to add value to the entire value chain, and we are going to make the organization profitable, right? So that is the first mindset required in lean manufacturing, because it requires a lot of preparations on the shop floor. As a manufacturing person, when I spend for lean manufacturing journey, I am a lean expert, right? So when I spend there, I will be there on day in, day out on the shop floor, right? When the shift starts, I'll be there 30 minutes before the shift. I stand in the meeting and we give a complete picture to the people, because people are not easy to accept. This is the biggest challenge on any industry, right? That depends upon the organizations. If the organization drive the values, drive the culture, like Toyota, what they made it, because it comes only through the culture of the organization, it comes through the value of the organization, it comes only through the thinking of the organization in terms of continuous improvement, growth mindset, and keep moving in the journey. All these things only can help the people to get convinced, right? And if you start the journey, obviously, definitely there will be a challenges. Obviously, there will be challenges in the journey, in any journey, right? So if you ask me, yes, I face a lot of challenges, but I have to I have to overcome that, right? Because I can't stop the journey. It isn't drive from the organization. Organization wants that, right? So I'm not there to convince the person. I'm going to tell the person that this is what company is looking for it, right? So you should be ready to do it. It will help you. It will help the organization, right? That is the way the thought process has to go into that. And this will not happen over time. So when I was driving lean, I used to come to the shop floor at least for 6 months into the shop floor when the shift starts, because I want to put it into the DNAs, right? If it get into the DNA, then it is done for me, right? So that is the way the lean has to be driven, right? Otherwise, lean in any organization, it's waste of principle, right? So I work for a company called Whirlpool. So I am one of the very leading person used to work on the lean principles there, and I created a lot of changes inside the organization and created a lot of value to the company and profitabilities for the company, and increasing the capacities of the company in terms of quality, because quality is the ultimate required for the customer, right? Every aspects I worked on it, right? That is the only reason. If somebody talks about in the introduction saying that is a choice for MD's award, that is the only reason, because unless I am passionately work on the area what I do and start implementing it, the biggest aspect which each one of you as a student, you are there, you have to learn the principles, you have to be there on the floor, wet your hands, practice it, practice it, practice it, parallelly, you should know how to have a soft skill, how to learn a soft skill with the people. It is very important on shop floor, right? If you are going to be on shop floor, you should know how to talk to the people. You can't be rude on the shop floor, right? You can't be very soft on the shop floor. You should know how to talk to the people, right? That skill you have to learn, right? So if you have all this with you, each one of you as a student in the call, anybody can bring a change to any organization when you're getting into a placement into a company, right? So that is where lean plays a bigger role there, right? So I am quickly going to talk about how lean can be implemented, right? So the important part of implementation are basically there are 7 tools or there of lean, right? The first tool is the 5S, right? So 5S is a very, very important tool because that is the starting point, because I have to set my place in every aspect neat and clean. If everything is neat and clean, let's say in terms of first test talks about sort, you have to sort everything in your place and you have to set it in order, arrange everything in order, and you have to make sure that everything is clean, neat, shine, right? Then I have to standardize it because I can't have every time different things. I should have a standardization. Then the last part is how can I sustain all this in my workplace, right? Because this is the first step in lean. 5S is the very, very first step in lean, because if 5S is good, then the roadmap for lean implementation is very, very fantastic and keep moving in the organization in a very big way, right? And the next tool we talked about lean is cell design, right? How many of you aware about cell design? I don't know, because in colleges, how much they teach it, because when I studied in college, I also never learned, but when I came into the industry, I spent a lot of time to learn about cell design, because cell design is now maybe in the today's curriculum, I think people are covering maybe in mechanical engineering or any other say branches. Definitely it must be there, right? So cell design is very, very important for a lean, because lean talks about what? It talks about, say, strain, no unevenness, no waste, right? So in any process, there should not be any of these three. So that's where it talks about that there should be a flow on the line. That's what Toyota also talks about it. There should be a flow on the line. So that's where if you look at the diagram on the side, you can see a flow. There is a uniform flow. There is a people in that flow. If you are arranging the entire stations in such a way, right, then with in this example they showed only 4 people doing the entire process, right? If you put this line straight, it may require 8 people, because person movement is increased, every waste is getting added. So if I make most of the cell design concept talks about a U-line shape, right? Because the person can move from one point to other point, so that one person can do more work, and it adds value to the entire chain, which in turn impacts on reducing the cost for the company, right? Optimizing the people. This is the word I use it on the shop floor. I don't tell manpower less. If you tell manpower less on a shop floor, they will kill you first, right? You can't talk that language. You have to tell that we are going to optimize the people, right? So that is the words you have to use it on when you work on the lean manufacturing there, right? The third tool is very good, which you would have seen in Formula cars, right? How many of you seen Formula cars? I don't know. How much is the changeover time? You know, it is 9 seconds. That is the power of Formula change race cars, right? In 9 seconds, all 4 wheels has to be replaced, and it has to be put it in place, because the race, right? The person has to gear up again, right? That 9th second is called the pit stop. It is called pit stop. So that's where the changeover principle started, right? Why it is important in shop floor? In shop floor, when you have a process, right? When you say that you're not going to run a batch production, you're going to run a say a pull system, you're going to have a flow on the line. So it is going to be a continuous flow. You're going to produce at a lesser batch production, let's say 300 per hour or 500 per hour or whatever it is, right? When you define it. So you have to produce multiple models on the line. That's what Toyota taught, right? Toyota lines are today all manufacturing lines on multiple models running on the line, right? So I've been in Whirlpool. We used to do multiple models, more than 130 varieties of refrigerators on the line. In a day, we produce at least 10 varieties of in a day, right? So the changeover at any station, if there is a changeover, the changeover time should be very fast. They call it as a single minute exchange of dies, right? So within less than minute, can I able to change the die and put the process in place and run the line, right? That is the principle which Lean talks about, which is very, very important tool on any process flow if you look at it. Okay. The next tool which is very, very powerful is value stream mapping. I think how many of you have gone through this subject, I don't know, but it's a very, very interesting subject. He talks about, if you look at it, you can see there is a, you can see there the entire shop floor has been mapped, right? What are all there, right? Plus your suppliers, your manufacturers, and your stores, everything has been done, your transportation, everything will be mapped. And we have to look at how much the time taking between every stage. And these are all the communication points. How well is the communication happens between all the process, right? And this is actual process, right? Is the process as less waste, right? That is the thinking. Is it a batch production where there is a process time is even on everything, your takt time is even, and your process is balanced, no extra inventory at every station. Everything will be learned through the value stream mapping. It's a very, very powerful tool. I worked on value stream mapping for many, many shop floors, right? It's a very, very powerful tool which you should learn when you are talking about the implementation of Lean, right? And the next powerful tool is the mistake proofing, right? It is very simple for a kid. If I give this blocks, the kid always put it at the right place, right? So this triangle cannot go into a circle. It is not possible. So same way in a manufacturing line, people are working. So people should have the best comfort, right? So because every time I cannot give somebody to check every time like this and put it like this, right? If the person has to take it like this and he has to put it like this over, because it's poke okay. It is called poke okay. The spelling is wrong, poka ek, right? So I put it there, it is right. And so it is called the poke okay, right? I can't put the thing like this, right? It is not possible, right? It is not possible in the reverse direction, right? Simple things on the shop floor. It adds value to the process. It adds values. It reduces the time on the flow on the line, right? That is the power of mistake proofing. These things you've seen it, but when you come to shop floor as a student, when you come to the industry, you should learn where all you can create it, because that is where you can add a lot of value addition. Because mistake proofing is very, very important in terms of customer compliance, right? Because anything you get a customer complaint, you should always go back and look at it at your process, whether the process is right, the flow is right, whether the process has got a mistake proofing there. The person cannot put wrongly, right? So you have to look at it, because in a manufacturing line, I can't give too much thinking to a person working there. He's a manufacturing guy. He adds values. Values what? His value is to just take it and put it inside. That is his value. You should not think too much about it, right? So that is the way the mistake proofing tool is working on any shop floor, right? What is the next part? The next part is called the TPM, right? What is TPM? It is total productive maintenance. Okay. This is basically applicable for a shop floor where there are the machineries are there, right? Because if I have a machine, then I have to maintain the machine, right? If the machines are not maintained, then there will be a downtime, there will be a loss in production, which will actually impact the entire value chain, right? So this is a very, very important principle. If you have to learn about TPM, it's a very big subject, right? You should definitely learn about TPM. It's a very, very important tool. I practiced TPM on shop floor like anything. And I go personally, I do a walk on the shop floor to every stations and every machinery. And we do a review in every machinery about the total productivity maintenance part, right? So it requires a lot of effort to bring the machine to a consistency. There should be a time to be given for proactiveness for the machines also, because the machines has to be taken care on time, right? So that is also very, very important in terms of a TPM there, right? So the next tool, the last tool is problem solving, right? Problem solving is a very, very important tool, because if I have everything at the top, if I don't know how to solve problem when I face a problem, then the entire tools will not be useful. So problem solving in all the applications is a very, very big tool, right? It is like a funneling effect, right? If I put a lot of pebbles on the top of the funnel, only very few comes down, right? That is called the cost. The one which comes out is the cost, right? If I'm looking for bigger pebble, it will stay there. If there is a smaller pebble in the, when I drop it there, the smaller pebble comes down, right? The root cause is that, right? So that is the way the problem solving plays a very, very big role there, right? So this is what I want to share to each one of you today. And I will talk about the all this step-by-step tools, maybe in my coming weeks, whenever I start doing the webinars step by step. So that's where you will definitely learn about in detail about it. And now it's time for you people to look at, do you have any questions? You can chat, you can put it on the chat so that I can look at the chat. I can at least answer to you people. Anybody has got questions? I would recommend everyone to switch on your video. I know that most of you are sleeping, right? It is 12 o'clock now. Time to get up on Saturday.
So I request all the students, whoever is having a question can type their questions in the chat box. So we can answer to all the questions. Thank you. Yeah, we have got the first question.
Yes. So which tool will be helpful in motion study? Okay. So it's a good question, right? It's a good question by Shivalingaya, right? So he is the person who asked about, right? See, motion study is basically part of industrial engineering. If you look at it, industrial engineering, it talks about motion study, right? So it is applicable on a cell design. When you do a cell design workshop, you will learn because you have to take measurements on every stations, right? Basically, when the person pick up the component and what time he puts it and what time it is coming out, and right. So you're going to watch the person and look at whether all the movements are adding value or not adding value. If the person is moving too much, then we should look at how to change the process or how to make sure that maybe a storage can be closer because the storage can be far away. That could be the reason the person is moving more, right? So the motion study is more useful in terms of cell design, right? When you do cell design, it will be the biggest tool to use it because you are really going to depth to learn about how to reduce the say the non-value activity in any process. Okay, the next question is from Redmi. I don't know who is the name. Sir, what is Muda? You're already saying no. You already shared in the screen. What is Muda? I think you must have been asleep maybe. That could be the reason. Okay, so Muda is a waste. Anything is a waste is called Muda. That's the Japanese language it talks about, right? So anything is a waste is a Muda. And this time's Zoom ID and password, one of my friend have shared. Next time, how will I get them when you are going to explain all the tool? Good question. I think you should definitely get in touch with ISRT. They will help you. And because they conduct a lot of sessions like this, it will be useful for many students. So you should be in touch with them and you should go into their website and look at what all the upcoming seminars or webinars are happening. You can update your friends. Either everything is clear or nothing is understood on Saturday morning. Only two choices, right? If you are clear, it is good. And if you are not clear, I think definitely you have to spend a lot of time because see, I have been in the shop floor for working in my hand, personal hand for at least for 7 to 10 years on the shop floor. I personally worked on the shop floor. So I'm a more of a practical person, but I learned the entire principles also. That is the reason I'm able to share it with you very confidently, right? Good. So Deepak, Gowda, sir, waste of lean manufacturing. You already see, no, 3 M's, right? You understood 3 M's? Strain, right? And say non-level, if there is no leveling, if there is any unevenness, third one is waste. Is there a standard work for every process that is documented, followed, and used for basis of improvement, right? See, standard work is one of the part of any manufacturing principles. In any stations or any process, there should be a standard work. How that is arrived by, if you look at the station design, right? There are, today's world, all the stations are, if you look at it, customized. Some of them are standard design tables, right? If you go to any shop floor, if you experience a shop floor, you can see there'll be assembly lines, you'll have standard tables. So in the standard table, the arrangements can be very standard. The bins can be arranged like this. It is simple, something similar to a pawn shop, right? If you go to a pawn shop, you can see that, right? That guy is arranged easily, right? He picks up, tuck, 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 you make it, right? That is the way the standardization happens. But there are places where the standardization cannot be done, that should be customized with respect to the station design and other thing. But if you look at it, in my learning, people who are very, very standardized are people who are the Koreans and Taiwanese, because anything they do, they standardize it. If you build a machine, a manufacturing line or an assembly line, they have standard set of parts ready, right? They just fix it, tuck, 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 tuck. They don't make it after you order it. That is the reason they are able to deliver it on very short lead time. That is the principle they follow it, right? So standard work is available, and if you look at it, the operation standards, the work instructions in front of a table, that's a standard work, right? You go to any pizza shop, go to Domino's pizza shop, you look at it, that guy has got a standard instruction. He has to do step by step, right? That way you will be very consistent. That is what, if you take a pizza of Domino's or anything, standard pizzas, you can feel the same taste in every outlet because of the standardization. So we have another 4 more minutes. If anybody has got any questions, or most of them are already slept, good. Have a good sleep also. Hariharan, just out of the box, if I start a company, which will be the best for future in terms of manufacturing? I think, Hariharan, I think if you have attended last time my thing, see, every industry, if you look at it, right, see, if you have to really learn about manufacturing, Toyotas are the pioneers in the manufacturing. Right now, Tesla is going to rule the world. That's what they are talking about it. Tesla is overcoming with all the people, and they're going to surpass Toyota also. I don't know about the principles, but in terms of revenue, in terms of growth, everything. But if you have to really learn about manufacturing, definitely you should be, if you get an opportunity to visit a Toyota plant, wherever in Bangalore there's a Toyota plant, if you visit a Toyota plant, you can really learn the principles there. Or if you work in a multinational companies, any multinational companies, they follow a very good manufacturing principles. If you go into the line, there are a lot of companies are there. It is not only Toyota today. There are so many companies have got a very good manufacturing principles. They follow all this. Basically, you go to any automotive, all automotive follows that. Any ancillaries, they follow that. Food industries are following a lot, right? There are a lot of food industries are following today the manufacturing footprints of lean and everything, right? Many industries are there. Even the medical industry is also following a lot of things, right? So there are plenty of opportunities are there. But if you want to really see, then in your college, if you get an opportunity to visit a factory, ask them very good factories in the place where you are. If you are in Bangalore, if you are in Chennai, I can talk about, there are a lot of companies are there. There's a company called, now Renault is there. There is a company called Hyundai is there. There are a company called Ford is there. There are so many companies are there, best companies, because automobile companies you can really see on the floor, right? That's what you can see it, right? And there are a lot of small companies. The companies which are auto ancillary for the bigger manufacturers also will have a very good setup. You can see the real manufacturing, right? Let's say if you are in Bangalore, Toyota, you go to a Toyota supplier, any Toyota supplier, you can see the reflection of Toyota there. So what are the limitations of constraints in lean manufacturing? We already talked about, right? There is no limitations in lean. Lean is, it's whatever you want to do within your boundaries, right? There is no limitations. The only limitation is the mindset, right? If the mindset is clear, lean works where? Anywhere. What about Kaizen rules? Kaizen is part of it. When you work on self-design, right? When you talk about continuous improvement, lean itself is a continuous improvement, right? Kaizen talks about it. One more minute. It's a good opportunity to ask questions. If you want to clarify, if you want to be part of a manufacturing industry, if you want to learn, are you in a learning mode? Are you in a listening mode on Saturday morning? I know it is difficult. All right, I think all the people are exhausted, and thank you very much for ISRT and giving me the opportunity for me to share my experience on this entire journey there. And thanks a lot for just a moment. Thanks a lot to everyone in the call, and I hope I added value to most of you today, and all the very best for each and every one of you for a wonderful future for moving forward. And India is going to be the biggest economy country by 2040, right? That's the way India is growing, right? All these things are very short term, and I want each and every one of you to think big, have a big thinking, and have a big future for each one of you, and come out with the flying colors from the college with lot of learnings from you. This is the right time, since you are going to learn a lot of things online. Don't miss any of the webinars, which will help you to gain a lot of knowledge, and it will help you when you come into the factories and industries. That will help you to drive your thinking big, and we are going to be among the superpowers in the world in the next 10 years, right? So whether you are going to be part of it or not going to be part of it, it is in your hands, right? It is a choice, right? But I would recommend each one of you to think big. You must have remembered about Abdul Kalam, right? Abdul Kalam talked about, right? You have to dream big, right? He talked about how to dream big, how to think big, how to grow big, right? So because I still remember only very simple thing in my mind is, if I am dreaming big, let's say if I'm dreaming about, let's say, a materialistic dream, let me talk about if I have to buy a Mercedes Benz in my life, right? I can, end of the life, I can still buy a Maruti car, right? If I think about only a Maruti car in my life, by end of my life, I'll still go by cycle only, right? So have a big thinking in your life, right? All the very best to each and every one of you, and have a great day, and have a fantastic time to each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you
Mr.
so
Lakshmi
much.
Narasimhan, for sharing your knowledge and experience. It was very interesting session, and you know, your live examples made it even more relatable. Thank you so much for encouraging, for your words of encouragement to all the students. Yeah, I would, and we're looking forward to more sessions from you, sir. Thank you so much for your contribution. And dear students, I would encourage all of you to take up the assessment post this session. And you will be eligible for e-certificates also. So please take this, don't miss this opportunity and take up the assessment. Thank you. Thank you. And over to the host.
Thank you, ma'am, for the opportunity. So